Hey everyone, welcome to Playwright Tutorial Part 1. I am Rishabh and this is the first video in a 15-part series where we will build a solid Playwright automation framework step by step. In this video, we will start with the basics, required setup and installations. Write our first test and we will go through the interview question that can be asked from what we are going to cover today. Let's get started. Playwright Test is an end-to-end test framework for modern web apps. But how? So a library like Selenium requires external tools for assertions, reporting, and drivers. For example, Chrome driver. Playwright is an all-in-one solution that includes its own test runner, assertion libraries, built-in reporting, and ability to test both APIs and UIs in a single script. This makes it a true end-to-end solution for modern web architectures. Now, modern web apps are like single-page applications which are built with frameworks like React or Angular. They don't reload the whole application when we click it. Instead, they update small sections of the DOM dynamically. Now, its key features. So, Playwright has multi-browser support. It works with Chromium, Firefox, and WebKit. It has auto-wait functionality, which allows it to wait for elements to be ready. So, it reduces the flaky tests significantly. We need not to configure our task to run in parallel mode, so Playwright supports parallel execution by default. Playwright has features like trace viewer. Think of trace viewer as a video replay of the test. So we can go step by step, see each action that happened during execution, which makes debugging much easier because we can see exactly where and why a test failed. Playwright also provides powerful debugging tools that allows us to pause the test execution, slow it down, and inspect elements directly in the browser. So, how Playwright communicates with browser? Playwright communicates directly with the browsers using native browser protocols like CDP over WebSockets, enabling low latency and bidirectional communication. This makes Playwright significantly faster. Let us now move on to the setup part. Playwright runs on Node.js, so the first thing we need is Node installed on the system. Let us go to the official website of Node.js and download the latest version from there. So we have different ways in which we can download and install Node.js. We can download the installer files or we can directly use commands in the terminal or command prompt. So I'm installing via terminal. I'm using the command brew install node. We can verify the installation by using the command node-v and npm-v. I'm using VS Code as my editor. It's free, lightweight, and has great playwright support. Go to code.visualstudio.com and download it for your system. For Windows, open the .exe file, accept the agreement, and follow the prompts. It is recommended to keep the default settings. For Mac users, open the downloaded zip file and drag the Visual Code into the applications folder. Let us now create the folder where our project will be stored. So I have created this folder Playwright Framework. Now open the folder in the VS Code. Now that folder is open, we will open the terminal and first check whether our node is detected. So we will check the versions like node-v and npm-v. So yes, it prints the versions. So Node.js lets us run the JavaScript code outside the browser, and npm is the package manager that installs and manages libraries for Node.js. Now we can run the command npm init playwright at the rate latest. It will install the playwright. So it will first tell that you need to install the following packages, create playwright. So just type y. Now it will ask some more questions like, do you want to use TypeScript or JavaScript? So we will select TypeScript. So where do we put our end-to-end tests? So in the test folder, it is by default. So we should keep it as it is. So do we want to add a GitHub Actions workflow? We will say no, false as of now. We will cover it later. Then it will ask us to install Playwright browsers. So we will say yes. So it will install Chrome, Firefox, and Safari in our system. So it will take some time to get installed. Now, once it is installed, you will see the project structure like this. So test folder This is where our test files will go. Then we have playwright.config.ts file. This is the main project configuration file for the Playwright tests. We have package.json. This is where our project dependencies will go. Let's look at the example test that is created for us. So the first line here is import statement, where we are importing test and expect from Playwright. Next, test, it defines a test case in Playwright. Now inside test, we see that we have two parameters. The first parameter is the test name, which is has title. So the test name is has title. And the second parameter is the async function with page object. We will come to this in some time. Now to navigate to a URL, it is using page.goto, right? And for the assertions, we are using expect from Playwright. Now in the code, we observed Playwright uses async and await in almost every test, which means it performs actions asynchronously and waits for each step to complete before moving on to the next one. So what if we forget await? So if we forget await, Playwright does not wait for the browser action to complete and immediately moves to the next step. So if we see the second test, here the click will happen before even the page is ready. So element is searched too early and test behaves very randomly. Now this page in the second parameter, it represents a browser tab. So it's a fixture provided by a Playwright. We can think of it as a single tab in the browser, and we will use it for all the actions like clicking, typing, navigating, etc. Now to run the test, we can use the command npx playwright test. Now we see it is saying that running 6 tests using 6 workers. So how come it is running 6 tests? So we have two tests defined in this is example.spec.ts file. Test number 1 and test number 2. Now these both tests are running on 3 different browsers. So in total, it is running 6 tests. In the terminal, we also see that it is running via 6 workers. What is a worker in Playwright? So a worker is a separate process that run tests in parallel to make the execution faster. So we can think of it as an isolated process which does not interfere with other processes and allowing multiple tests to execute at the same time without interfering with each other. So here the scenario is executed in the headless mode and on 3 browsers: Chromium, Firefox and WebKit. So now to see the browsers in action, we can run in headed mode. So we can use the command npx playwright test --headed. So now the browser opened, went to playwright.dev and closed. It's working as expected. There is one more mode in which Playwright runs, that is the UI mode. So we can use the command npx playwright test --ui. Now this is amazing for debugging purpose. You can see each step, time travel and inspect elements as well. So here we see our example.spec.ts file, which is basically our test file. So it has two tests defined as title and get started link. We are also able to execute tests by directly clicking on the play button. We have options to run the entire test file, that is example.spec.ts file, or separately each test one by one. Now as we click on this tab, we see it is highlighted over here and we can see the trace above. So as I go to this click step, I see that there is a red dot on get started button. So we can time travel through our scenarios, see what has exactly executed. So this is a great feature for Playwright. Let's move ahead. Press Ctrl C to come out of the UI mode. Now to view the report, we can use the command npx playwright show-report. It will launch the report directly in the browser. There we can see all the tests listed over there with the correct status, how much time it took for it to execute. So it's a very good test framework. So in the report, we see that tests run on 3 different browsers: Chromium, Firefox and WebKit. So if I click on Chromium, I can see Chromium specific test. If I click on the test, I can see all the steps. I click all, I can see all the tests that I've executed. So it's a very neat and very good report. Okay, now let's build something real. So we are using OrangeHRM demo website for our automation purpose. So let me create a new test file called orangehrm.spec.ts. The first line is our import statement, where we import test and expect from Playwright, as we saw in the example. Next, we will define our first test using test, and we will name it as login test, just fine. The second parameter is async function with the page object, which is must for us to perform all the browser specific actions. So async page. Now we will navigate to the website. So for navigation purposes, we use page.goto, and we must not forget await before it. Now let me navigate to the website and see the locator for username and password fields. And then we have this submit button. Okay. So inside page.locator, we are using CSS locators like input name equal to username. Now to enter text in the input field, we use fill method. So it is similar to sendKeys method in Selenium. So we can take the username admin and we will use it in fill. So it will enter username as fill. Now I will copy paste for password. I will see what is the locator for password. So its name is equal to password. Okay, it's just a single change. Then we can enter the password admin123. Now we use page.click method to click on the login button. So let us navigate to the website and find its locator. So we can use class to locate this. Now we can add now we can add an assertion here. Once the user successfully logs in, user can view the dashboard page. So we can find an element on the dashboard page and we can make an assertion that it should be visible and it should contain some text, like these kind of assertions we can make. So let's log in and see what is the element present on the dashboard. Okay, so we can see that this dashboard text is present. Let's get its locator. Let's use class again. We can add one more assertion that this element should contain text dashboard. So let's write that as well. Like page.locator. Then we write our CSS locator in it. Then there is one assertion to contain text, and we can write the dashboard text here. So you see that we have await keyword used with every statement. So as I've mentioned before, that with the browser interactions and when we are making assertions, we need to use await keyword because these are asynchronous operations. Now to run the tests, we can use the command npx playwright test and specify the spec file that we want to execute. So it's inside the tests folder. So we will give it as test slash orangehrm.spec.ts. So it is running three tests now using three workers on three different browsers, right? Chrome, Firefox, and WebKit. So all the tests have passed, and we have successfully written our first Playwright script. Now that we have written and run our Playwright tests, let's quickly connect this to how these concepts are actually asked in interviews. So the first question is basic, like what is Playwright? So an Playwright is an open source end-to-end test automation framework by Microsoft that supports that supports testing across Chromium, Firefox, and WebKit. Right. Next is, what are the advantages of Playwright over Selenium? So why do we choose Playwright over Selenium when we already know a traditional tool, very successful traditional tool, Selenium? Why should we go with Playwright? So Playwright has auto wait mechanism, right? So we need not any explicit waits for the elements to load to be visible, right? Then it's faster execution due to direct browser communication. Next, it has native multi-browser support. It has built-in API testing support. It has isolated browser context for reliable parallel execution. Now, what is page object in Playwright? So, the page object represents a browser, tab, or window. It's the main interface for interacting with the web pages, like navigating, clicking, typing, etc. Next, we have, what does npx playwright test do? So, it executes all test files in the test folder using the Playwright test runner, running tests based on configured projects and workers. And the last one is, how do we run Playwright tests in headed mode? So to run the tests in headed mode, we use npx playwright test hyphen headed to see the browser during our test execution. So these are some of the most common Playwright interview questions based on what we have covered today. In the next video, we will look at the different locator strategies in Playwright. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like the video and subscribe for the upcoming Playwright tutorials.